Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who tries to make the law make sense here on YouTube. Today we're going to try to make some sense out of the shooting that occurred in Dadeville, Alabama. Let's head on down to the beach and talk about that. Dadeville was a tragedy any way you slice it. There were 4 young people who lost their lives, 1 girl, 3 boys, ranging in age from in the 18 to 19 range to 23, I think. And there were 32 other people wounded or injured and requiring medical treatment as a result of that shooting. Just the number of injured and wounded people would tell you that there had to be a fairly large number of people involved in this event. And indeed, that's what the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency has determined as of this point. In case you haven't heard it, there have been 6 people arrested. There have been 2 sets of brothers and a juvenile who is 15 who has not been identified, and 1 19-year-old man, I believe, from Auburn. I'll show you the pictures right here. All of the young people who were killed were African Americans, and it would appear that all of the killers were African Americans. As I said, it is indeed a tragedy, because the 4 people who were shot and killed have lost their life. There were at least 5 people who were in critical condition even yesterday from a shooting several days ago. When you are in the hospital in the intensive care unit after a gunshot wound, you are not going to be all right. You may recover, but you're going to lose some function. Bullets do terrible things to the human body. They basically destroy structures. They can destroy bones, they can destroy organs like lungs. They can do a lot of damage, and they can do it relatively quickly. In this case, the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency has not released how many guns were involved. We know that there were at least 6 people involved. We don't know what their roles were at this point. And the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, the State Bureau of Investigation, they've been very closed-lipped about this case. And that's for a good reason, and I'm actually kind of glad that that's the case, because they're going to be tried. These 6 people are going to be tried in Tallapoosa County, and they're going to be tried by a jury. Several of them are going to be tried as adults. I don't know if the 15-year-old will be, but certainly the 16-year-old and the 17-year-old and the 19-year-old are going to be tried as adults. And the more media that you have, the more logs you put on the fire, the worse the public outcry will be, and the worse the pressure will be on the jury to come back with a guilty verdict. I don't believe that anybody is guilty until a jury says that they are guilty. And so these people are suspects at this point, and unless and until the case is proved against them, they're entitled to that presumption of innocence. So I think it's a good thing that they are keeping their lips sealed about what they're discovering. What we know from the community and from the rumors that have abounded in the Auburn area are that this basically relates to an incident of disrespect. There were, like I mentioned, there were at least 38 people at this party, probably many more than that. It was a Sweet 16 party for one of the people, one of the young ladies, and her birthday was that day. They had a DJ, and according to the DJ, one of the people came into the dance hall where this was going to occur, and they said he had a gun, and they stopped the party for a minute and asked him to leave, but nobody left. And then about an hour later, the shooting started. Now, the problem with that narrative is I cannot believe and do not believe that there was only 1 gun and 1 shooter. They've arrested 6 people. So my guess is that there were a lot of people who were involved in shooting, and that's why there were so many people who were struck and wounded. The typical narrative for a mass shooter is your lone gunman, or in the case of Columbine, 2 lone gunmen who go into a place and shoot the place up. That's not what happened here. You had at least 6 people involved, very likely multiple shooters, and it was all done with handguns. We know that because the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency has only recovered handgun casings. At some point, the people who have been arrested will be put on trial, and eventually this will come to a conclusion. When it does, I would like to think that because Tallapoosa is so close, Tallapoosa County is so close, I would be able to go to the trial and bring you information from the trial. That's what I'm going to try to do. Now, there have been a lot of people who, in comments on Facebook and other places, have said this is all about the guns. Guns do not load themselves. Guns do not put themselves into people's pants. Guns do not go to a party. Guns do not come out of someone's pants. Guns do not pull their own trigger. People do all of those things. This is not a gun problem. This is a people and culture problem. The fact of the matter is that in the youth, in the demographic that is involved in this issue, violence has been glamorized and glorified in music and in movies, and people are numbed, they're desensitized to the act of violence. As a result of that, the easy solution is to blame the guns. You have to be 21 to buy a handgun legally. And only one of these people, I think, actually was above 21. One of the shooters, one of the alleged shooters, was over 21. So you have to wonder, where did these guns come from? They weren't purchased in a regular gun store. Were they given to them by the parents? Were they stolen from the parents? Were they stolen from parked cars? No one seems to know. At some point, we will have answers to that, and when we do, I will update you. But irrespective of where the guns come from and whether you blame the guns or not, this is an absolute tragedy. 4 lives ended at the end of a barrel of a gun, and 6 lives were destroyed by the acts involved in using those guns. And the promise of 10 youth who might have gone on to do great things has been destroyed. And this is one of those situations where, realistically, the only thing the rest of us can do is learn from it and recognize, especially tell our children, that you're not safe anywhere. And as a result, you need to keep your head on a swivel. I'll have more on that subject in my next video, which relates a personal event. So thank you very much for watching. I wish this was a happier video. I'm sorry that it isn't. If you have the opportunity, please take some time to do something nice for someone, and I will catch you on here next time, down at the beach. If you like this video, here are a few others you might try, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a terrific day, guys.